let's talk about Ryan Dunn, the forward from Virginia. Sophomore, he'll be 21 and a half years old by the time the draft takes place. And I think he's the best out-and-out defender in the 2024 NBA draft. And what's going to determine Ryan Dunn's success at the next level is going to be how far along can his offense progress. So let's start with the defense, and then we're going to go back into the offense later on. Statistically, Ryan Dunn had a solid season. 8 points per game, 7 rebounds, a little less than assist per game. He shot 55% from the field, 20% from 3, around 1 attempt per game, and slightly less than that during conference play, and 53% from the free throw line. Now, obviously, Ryan Dunn's main value comes from his defense. He led the ACC in blocks per game at a little over 2 blocks per game, 2.3 to be exact. And he also averaged 1.3 steals on the season. And he maintained a low turnover rate at a little less than 1 turnover per game, 0.8 turnovers per game. So Ryan Dunn is a guy defensively who clearly is a great shot blocker. He knows how to navigate screens well, so he can stay attached to smaller defenders, guys his size, etc. And then he's got a great ability to recover because he is a very good to great athlete, I would say. And with all of that ability comes with it a guy who has a really good basketball IQ, in my opinion. He's got a really good feel for the game. He understands where he should be on the defensive end of the court in terms of rotations, when to help, because a lot of times his blocks come from the help side where he's maybe guarding somebody in a corner and he leaves his man. He does a great job of timing those plays. He's also a good rebounder. He's a guy who at 7 rebounds per game is pretty solid considering he played 27 minutes per game. And some of that was even on the offensive end where, he understood what his role was. He was an off-ball screener, a cutter, etc. because he's not a good shooter. And he averaged just over 2 offensive rebounds per game. And then lastly, on the offensive side of the ball, in terms of a positive, I thought he was an underrated passer. I know it doesn't necessarily show up in the statistics, but Virginia had a pretty poor offensive team. And I felt that if Ryan Dunn had a little bit better shooters around him, he could have averaged maybe closer to 2 assists per game. Not anything crazy, but just something where I could see him having some success at the next level with maybe better shooting around him. And I just think he does a good job of fitting into the offense and just understanding, being aware of what his strengths and weaknesses are. And speaking of those weaknesses, offensively, there's not many weaknesses defensively, if any, but offensively there sure are. And obviously, the shooting is what comes to mind first. He's a guy who shot 20% from 3 and 53% from the free throw line. There's no way he would be considered, a draft pick if he wasn't as outstanding as he is on the defensive end of the court. And those numbers, unfortunately, did not improve in conference play, where he actually got a little bit worse in each area, and he was below 50% from the free throw line during conference play. So there are certainly concerns with his shooting, and on top of that, he doesn't really look comfortable handling the ball after, let's say, 2 or 3 dribbles. He looks hesitant. He's trying to get rid of it. If he has a straight line drive to the basket, he looks okay, but outside of that, it doesn't seem like he's got confidence in that area. And speaking of that confidence, I wish he was more aggressive, screening for the ball, looking for off-ball cuts, just being more assertive and just trying to find his opportunities on offense. I understand his limitations, but I just wish he was a little bit more aggressive on that side of the ball. So would I draft Ryan Dunn? With all of his strengths defensively, initially, and his weaknesses offensively, I had him as a maybe, and I'm leaning towards yes because I think there's signs offensively with his ability to screen off the ball, like I mentioned, his underrated passing, that if he can just get to below average, because right now he's well below average as a shooter, just below average as a shooter, I think the other parts of his offensive game, the cutting, the rebounding, the passing, can make up for his below average shooting. and keep him on the court, because his defense is going to be, right away, he'll be one of the better defenders at the next level. I think he goes anywhere between 31 and 45 in the second round of the draft, and I think teams like the Spurs, Timberwolves, and Knicks make sense for a guy like Ryan Dunn. My confidence level on Dunn is somewhere around 60%, and the reason for that is because I really just don't know if his offense, and specifically his shooting and ball handling, are going to improve enough to keep him on the court at the next level. But I do think he'll get the opportunity to do so, because coaches are going to love his defense and just his basketball IQ. So that's what I think about Ryan Dunn. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel for more great content. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.